Hi everyone, this is content for the week of April 13th through April 20th. We're going to be looking at two major topics in African American history this week, the Great Migration and World War I. As you'll see as you go through some of the content this week, both of these major topics are intertwined with one another. Much of what's happening in the Great Migration relates to the events that led to the outbreak of World War I and African American involvement in that conflict. You're going to be looking at some supplementary materials this week. One of those resources is this video from Vox, Why African Americans Left the South in Droves and What's Bringing Them Back. One of the things that you'll hopefully be able to think about as you go through some of the historical content this week is to assess what led to the Great Migration and, in a lot of cases, what's reversing that migration. Chicago's lost a lot of population in the last several decades or so, and that's something that relates to the issues of the Great Migration and Chicago's African American population. We'll also be taking a close look at African American involvement in World War I. One of the resources that you'll be looking at this week is a link in the PowerPoint presentation on World War I, Remembering the Harlem Hellfighters. And as you scroll through, you'll notice a number of primary source documents, photographs, artifacts that will hopefully help to bring some insight to the very important involvement of African Americans in that conflict, a conflict that led to, frankly, some of the major early events in the American Civil Rights Movement. As you'll see as you read through W.B. Du Bois's document, We Return Fighting. African Americans were asked to go fight overseas, to fight for democracy on European soil, and it's many of those soldiers who return home in uniform, decorated because of their service in World War I, that leads to the early contributions of Black leaders in their local communities to the civil rights movement that'll help pave the way for the movement that most individuals focus on when they look at the fight for civil rights in the 1940s and 1950s. So I hope you enjoy going through the material this week. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me.